Well, this shave is brought to you by a comment from a viewer on the 2018 wet shaving review that I just recently posted. That person guessed Queen Charlotte, and honestly, I had forgotten that I even had them in the queue because I was so focused on the vintage shaving products and the shave sticks, but I'm very glad that person reminded me because today, Queen Charlotte soaps are up for review again. Hello again, Michael Friedrich here from beautiful North Carolina, and today I have only one product for review. It's kind of the return of an old favorite, and it's going to be from my dear friends at Queen Charlotte Soaps. It's going to be the Rose Otto. This is the shaving soap cream, which is really kind of a true crope. Pretty soft and kind of sticky. This scent is a very clean, natural, somewhat heady rose scent. Very, very nice. Just a light, kind of a light, clean, distinct rose scent. Not overpowering, not overly heavy, not too perfumey. This is the tallow-based version of their soap. This also does include, by the way, olive oil. And it also includes, which at the time was a bit controversial, a touch of kaolin clay. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. Razor for today is going to be the Rockwell 6S. I'm going to be continuing the shades with the Pulse Silver. This is the Wizamet. This is going to be shave number 18. I'm going to start off with the base plate set for number 4, and then that's for the first 2 passes. Then I'll switch over to the other side of the base plate and go for the 2. I am going to include the washer on here, even though this is stainless steel. And I saw a person who commented on the review of the Fine Accoutrements Marvel Razor by Friendship Shaving, and I just recently lent that to Mark for his review. The person was sort of asking, hey, you know that there's already like a little metal washer shape at the underside of the base plate. That may well be true, but you know, the washer just prevents damage between whatever is on the base plate and the handle. And so if you're interested in that, just go for one of these small nylon washers. And yes, it is the 18th shave on that Wizamet blade. We'll see how it does. Brush for today is going to be the Semogue Owners Club boar, which has been soaking for just a little bit. All right, let me wet my face and we'll start talking about the soap and kind of its personal history, and we'll see how we get on. I have, of course, as always, 2 days worth of growth. I have some of the soap still pressed into the Captain's Choice loading bowl. I realize that for some of you, it is a lather bowl. It is, of course, billed as a lather bowl. But since I don't bowl lather, I just bowl load. All right, so let's get the lather going. I'm starting off with a relatively dry brush. If you start with a wet brush, you get a very quick, very foamy, but still kind of a coherent lather going. So don't worry about it. Wet brush or dry brush, either way, this is going to work out great. It always builds a bit of foam, like a lot of soaps do in the loading bowl. I'm going to add a bit of water to that in just a moment so we can really pick up a good pasty load. So yeah, let's talk about Queen Charlotte. So this is probably my first real artisan soap. You know, when I first ordered this, I went back and looked through my Gmail, started to look at the order confirmations and the receipts. I think I ordered my first set of samples from them in July or August of 2011. And it was a number. There was a cedarwood lemongrass, and then there was a key lime, and the key lime scent on that was fantastic. I think that was my clear favorite. So at the time, that was a tallow-based soap. I think I've been using Proraso in the bowl and a few others. Nothing really spectacular. My first real artisan shave soap. That's looking pretty good. And I have to say, it was one of those kind of oh wow moments. And one of the reasons that I chose it, and this may seem silly, but you know, that's the thinking, is that I wanted to support a local North Carolina artisan or vendor. And I'm very glad I did, because we also, from that point on, have been purchasing our bath soap from Matthew. And we are, unfortunately, down to our last bar, because as I'm sure as many of you know, unfortunately Queen Charlotte had to shut their doors. Just real life intruded on keeping their business running. I think it was Matthew and his mom pretty much that were running it. So I have the Rose Otto shaving cream, and then I have an untouched tub of the Queen Charlotte hard soap, which was their signature scent. But that is one of those soaps I would be very likely just to leave exactly as is, as kind of a souvenir, a nostalgia souvenir. I'm going to add a bit of water to this. Yeah, so purchased those first samples in 2011 and immediately fell in love with the soap, just the way that it felt on my face, the way that it lathered, post-shave. The scents were really well done, certainly compared to what I thought were pretty average scents on the standard Pro Rosso offerings. You know, the eucalyptus and menthol, the one in the green container, is, you know, really not much to write home about. And I've continued to purchase from them, or I had continued to purchase them, not on the shaving soap side as much as I had been, but on the bath soap side, certainly. And I think it's also the first company that I ever used a shampoo bar from, which was great. The shampoo bar, if you wanted to get your hair clean, it was incredibly cleansing. Same kind of scents, same kind of formulas. And we've used a wide variety of their bath soaps. So they had both vegan and tallow-based options. There was a wonderful salt-based one. Just great. I'm really sorry to see those guys go, but you understand, it just sort of happens. Real life comes into play, and then sometimes side business has to go. All right, let's go and get the shave going. 18th shave, the Rockwell 6S, which is a razor that I personally enjoy tremendously. This razor just simply works for me. Four is a nice mix of comfort and aggression. It's not aggressive really. You know, if you even go up to the 6, not an aggressive razor, but there's definitely a different feel between 6 and 1. And lucky for me, the combination of 4 for the first 2 passes and 2, spot on. Only advantage of that is I only have to worry about having 1 plate to hand as opposed to 2, but otherwise not much of a big deal. Yeah, lather is just great on this soap. I have to say, this is a bit of a nostalgia shade, because also bear in mind that when I was purchasing those Queen Charlotte soaps, that was a time in my shaving career that I used to buy a soap and completely use that soap up until I moved on to the next one. So it was critical that I was buying soaps I liked or I loved, as in this case, because otherwise you're kind of stuck with it until the soap is gone. And I really would stick with it. You know, I would start it and I would work my way through that soap. And yes, like many of you, I would encounter the ring of despair, and then somehow that ring of despair, which is that small remainder of soap that had soap missing out of the middle and then just a ring of soap on the exterior, seemed somehow to last as long as the entire rest of the soap had lasted up to that point. Yeah, I used to talk about how a soap would try to break your spirit and that I wasn't going to be broken. Anyway, there were some really wonderful scents, and there were a couple seasonals or some ones that he brought out that were sort of trials. And I want to say, and I may be getting this name wrong, but I think it was Hanami, which was a cherry blossom scent. That was fantastic. There was also a tangerine one that I remember being a very nice kind of spot on fresh citrus scent. All of them used up entirely. Yeah, so easy to work with. Very good lather. Good slick feel in the face. Oh, let's not forget about the kaolin clay. Oh yeah, so you know, and this is probably still happening on Badger and Blade. I don't really frequent there any longer because I used to try to post links to my videos, and there was a bit of a kerfuffle with B&B about the fact that I kept posting links to my content, which was frowned upon because of a possible some future commercial overlap where if I was monetizing my channel and I would somehow be making money off B&B. So anyway, so I sort of stopped posting over there. A lot of good content, but I just don't participate in the forum any longer. But in the early days, I was pretty active over there. And there was this debate, a raging debate between shaving soap purists for whom no kaolin clay could be included. I'm gonna watch it right there. Having definitely a skin is really irritated right now. It's not just the work in the house, it's also just the weather change is sort of warm and cold and dry and not dry and lots of rain. Yeah, I just gotta watch it there a little bit. Anyway, so there were those who were vehemently against the kaolin. A good soap doesn't need kaolin clay. It's a cheat. It's a weakness. It's what a poor soap maker uses to mask his otherwise non-slippery soap. It was seen as almost as bad as a pure olive oil soap. Well, as you can imagine, there were plenty of people who disagree with that position because they were using shaving soaps like the Queen Charlotte that included kaolin clay, and it was an absurd statement to position those kaolin clay including soaps, these pretend soaps, to the dustbin of artisan soaps because of that one ingredient, as if somehow there were otherwise crappy soaps masquerading as shaving soaps and trying to mask their lack of lubrication or glide with kaolin clay. Or bentonite or whatever other clays people use. You know, Meissner Termoni uses a variety of different ones. There are lots of soaps today that use it. So I don't know if that debate continues to rage on, but if the soap is good and it includes kaolin clay, well then the kaolin clay is likely helping that soap to be better. That's just experience. Anyway, third and final pass. This, I'm going to now swap the razor out. I'm going to flip it. Now this is the moment, by the way, in which the washer, normally speaking, either gets stuck, as it has here, to the end of the handle, or it gets stuck to the bottom of the base plate, and either way, when you go to pull it off, somehow falls into the sink. Okay, so now I'm switching to base plate number 2 for the third and final pass. There we go, just tighten that back up again. All right, so, well, anyway, about the kaolin clay, enough about old history. Always going to have a bit of a soft spot for this particular soap brand. And it's a bummer to see them go, but I hope that Matthew and his mom are doing great. I wish them all the best. And I can just say one more time, thank you for everything that you did. Great products, great service, very friendly outreach, and always glad, at least for me, of course, this doesn't apply to many of you, but always glad to support a local North Carolina business. All right, let's talk about the performance of the blade for a moment. It absolutely feels different. It sounds a bit different than it did in those first two shaves. But I have to tell you, it may not feel as sharp as it did in that first week, but it still feels really pretty smooth. And this combination of the 4 and 2 base plate on the Rockwell, man, it really works for me. Monday and Tuesday, pretty close to basically BBS. No tugging, no roughness. Blade feels smooth. See how we did in just a moment. I know some of you were just saying, don't shave where there's no lather. Sometimes you gotta risk things a little bit. All right, let me rinse off. Well, just a touch right there. Let's do that. Plenty of lather in that brush still. And I realize that this may seem silly, like, why stretch a blade when they're so cheap? And I get that. Trust me, I understand completely because it seems kind of silly. But the fact is that also, why waste a blade even when it's cheap, when it's still working as well as this is? No irritation. It is losing a little bit. So we'll see if it makes it through next week or not. Not completely as close as I would like, but still pretty good. All right, let me just dry off a little bit and wipe off some of the soap. I don't want to dry off too much because I'm going to be using the Chatillon Lux aftershave toner, not the solve, but the toner. This is the same Yuzu, Rose, and Patchouli, which is a very nice scent match for the Rose Otto. It does say shake before use on the right. I hope you can see sort of 2 layers in there. So shake well before use. That's what you get. And then what I was doing was, and it was frustrating a bit, is I was trying to like vigorously shake it out, but in fact, if you just hold it, it just drips out quite easily. I think I'm doing like 10 or 12 drops. You don't really need that much. Yeah, man, that is a just fantastic smell. Very nice accompaniment to that soap. Witch hazel, glycerin, aloe. There's a bunch of other stuff in here. Just works very well for my skin. And yes, this is one of those times of the year where I have to take a bit of extra care. There we go. All right, rinse my hands a little bit. Yeah, I am pretty happy with that. I gotta say, that is a very nice shave. A bit of a nostalgic shave, a bit of a lump in my throat when I think about the fact that, well, they are no more. And anyway, Queen Charlotte soaps, the Rose Otto. I still have the tub of hard soap Queen Charlotte on the shelf. That's not going to get used. That really is kind of a left as is. Maybe one day when archaeologists start digging through the remains of our house and they uncover this old tub of Queen Charlotte, who knows what they'll think. This is the tallow-based version of the soap. Wonderful, clean, have a kind of a slightly strong but still distinct rose scent. Heady, but not too heady, not too perfumey. Very, very nice. Well, what can you say, guys? It happens. Anyway, the Rockwell 6S on base plates 4 and 2. This razor is just a joy to use for me. It's simple to use. It gives me great shaves all the time. The fact that it just happens to be the 4 and 2 base plate settings that are the ones that are kind of spot on for me is just good luck. Handle is really nicely done. I love the knurling. It just feels solid and you just know it's going to last. This will certainly go from me to some other person, some lucky sod. Who knows how many years, hundreds, this might continue to be used. Anyway, whoever it goes to, best of luck, and I hope you enjoy it and love it as much as I do. The aftershave tonic for today, the Chatillon Lux. This is the Yuzu Rose and Patchouli. As you can see, still nicely emulsified after shaking. Definitely applied to a damp face, works so much better than if you apply it to a dry face. Post-shave results, very, very nice. Post-shave of the Queen Charlotte soaps, by the way, is pretty good. It's not great. It's not as good as perhaps what you're seeing in today's artisan market, but just imagine where he could have been if he had known then what people know now about how to make the soaps. Think about the gap in time of 7 years. It's pretty dramatic. And to close it out, the Semogue Owners Club boar brush. And we're going to call it quits with that. I hope you've all enjoyed watching that. Thank you again so much. One more time, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate the time you're taking to watch these. As always, please feel free to leave questions or comments against this video or any previous video, and I'll try to get back to those as quickly as I can. And you can see the benefit of doing it, because if that person, and I wish I could remember your name, but if that person hadn't made a remark about Queen Charlotte, I probably would have forgotten about this soap until some weeks or maybe months from now, as I was working my way through the vintage soaps and the shave sticks. So thank you so much for that reminder. Really appreciate that. Otherwise, thank you all again so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye